Left-Wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
Ever since Kamala Harris has been acknowledged as the Democratic nominee for president, Republicans like Harriett Hageman and Tim Burchett and others have referred to her as a DEI hire. The GOP's attempts to slander Kamala Harris won't be tolerated by us. We're not having it. We're going to share the 5 key qualifications that make her an outstanding choice for POTUS and prove that she is not a DEI hire. And fact number 1 is her education. So Harris holds a bachelor's degree in political science and economics from Howard University, a historically black university in Washington, D.C. Her education laid a strong foundation for her career in public service and law. Ace, how might her education in political science and economics impact her presidency?
She knows what she's doing. Plain and simple. And she's got the education to back it up. She's actually studied political science. She knows about it. You know what I'm saying? It's no guesswork. That's why she's been successful where she is. I mean, first and foremost, there's people saying she's a DEI hire, just proving the reason you need DEI. Mm-hmm. That's you're discriminating against her because of that. That's saying you're saying automatically because of her skin tone. She's not qualified to do what she's doing. The only reason she got up there is because of her skin tone. She graduated from Howard University. They just don't give out degrees there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So her education on her presidency is going to give us a competent person who has an educational background and knows what they're talking about, that understands politics, and just ain't doing things because they feel like that's what they need to do, running things by the seat of their pants. And that's what her education is going to do for her.
Yeah. And she was educated as a child on the West Coast, okay? Through middle school, went to high school in Canada, then went to Howard. So I would also say this. She's lived in different parts of the world. She's experienced education, different parts of the world. She has a multicultural family. So her education looks like America. Her education is not, just in one place with one view. She's had, now again, her family is pretty liberal. So, she probably had a lot of liberal things in her education, but she's lived different places. So she's got to meet different types of people. Mm-hmm. Okay, different races and everything. So I think that's going to be helpful to her.
Yeah, definitely. No, she's I just, it's just funny, that we're on the show. We have to talk about this, and let's pull up her opponent's education. And is he a DEI hire? You know what I'm saying? He's my daddy had money hire. What do they call that? A trust baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's funny that we have to even be on this show and even have to try to talk to her. Feel like we have to, kind of defend that because we have some people out there that are like, just shitting on the name, basically trying to say that, using it like that, but trying to be clever. Like, well, we all know what DEI means. Y'all been using those terms every decade or whatever. Y'all come up with a new term to talk about black people ain't qualified to do what they doing. You know what I'm saying? So that ain't nothing new.
Yeah, so let's talk about the fact number 2. The second fact why she's not a DEI hire is she was a district attorney. Mm-hmm. So Kamala Harris served as a deputy district attorney in Alameda County, California. She quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the district attorney of the city of San Francisco in 2004. Steve, how will her courtroom experience benefit her as the president?
Because she knows how to go at people and convince them, of her position, because she's been in court year after year after year. Okay. She also understands in cities what folk are going through. And you always hear about crime in the big cities. She understands. She was a district attorney in one of the largest cities in America. So she was trying people. She was looking at crime in these large cities. So she can go at it, looking at it from the position of somebody who actually dealt with it on the ground. Okay? So if you on the floor and you looking at it and then you go up to the roof, you know what was on the floor. You're going to know how to deal with it.
Yep. Hey, my legal background is probably, I looked at a shitload of Law and Order. You know what I'm saying? So that's about how big and endeavor my legal background is. But if I'm correct, ain't the district attorney the boss?
Sure enough.
Yeah. And don't they have you like assistant DAs that kind of do all the grunt work and they have to
Sure
report
do.
to the boss, right? Okay, so that's an executive position right there, right? So that she gets some executive background of having to, just manage people and be in charge of people in that situation. And of course, it's got a legal background, like you said, and that's what that she's probably got a pretty good grasp on crime. You know what I'm saying? Because she was a district attorney of a major city in the United States. So, so she's probably got something when it comes to crime and trying to solve problems with crime. That's probably close to her heart because that's her background. That's where she comes from.
And at the end of the day, too, I mean, when you talk about like she was in charge of people, she was the executive over there. It wasn't like she was the executive over a bunch of people, picking fruit. She was in charge of a bunch of smart people who are lawyers with degrees and passed the bar exam, and people who were probably moved on to other influential positions.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like she was in charge of just some baggers at HEB. Okay, you could be in charge of people, but she was in charge of like some smart people.
Wasn't like she was in charge of like 9 stupid celebrities that ended up not doing anything after your show and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Basically.
And I want to dispel a rumor because every time I'm online, they say when she was district attorney, she just put a whole bunch of black people in jail. Okay, let's set some records straight. When she was district for selling weed, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. When she was district attorney, the number of people who were sent to prison on marijuana convictions was 45 people. 45 people, period. Not 45 black people. 45 people, period. Okay? So when somebody tells you, oh, she sent a whole bunch of people to prison because of weed, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Let me break it down. Let me break it down again on my vast knowledge of Law and Order, right? For a district attorney to implicate anybody or convict anybody, they have to get, there has to be done by, they have to get convicted by the grand jury, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which the grand jury is a jury. It's just a jury of people that are regular people.
Yes.
So to get a case on anybody before the district attorney can even take them to court, the grand jury has to find that crime is worthy of them even getting to the district attorney.
Absolutely.
So technically, she didn't put anybody in jail. She just did her job as district attorney of prosecuting them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
dun dun.
Yeah. And
bum 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 bum. Dun dun.
Yeah, and in addition, she helped to try to stop sex trafficking in San Francisco of young teenagers. Okay, she did do Fresh Start programs for nonviolent offenders so that their records would get expunged. Okay, after a certain number of years. So what she was trying to do is she was trying to be hard on the crime that's crime.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You beat somebody, you rape somebody, you're sex trafficking children, because that was her thing as district attorney and attorney general, protecting the kids. Mm-hmm. Okay. And she was trying to make sure that those people were the people who ended up in prison, and those people were the people who ended up in jail. You rape somebody, you end up in jail. I think the reason Donald Trump don't like her is because he's looking at her ass sideways like, well, I done such and such and such and such. This bitch gonna throw me in jail. I don't know.
I got a couple of cases already.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. But I ain't gonna say nothing about that because look, if we lose, that nigga might throw me in jail.
He might do that anyway.
He might get rid of the podcast and everything. But there are other facts as far as like her progression through the legal system is she actually, which is the next fact number 3 of why she's not a DEI hire, because she was once the attorney general of the whole damn state of California. So in 2010, she was promoted again. She was elected to be elected now by the people of California to be the attorney general. Now, that made her the first woman and the first African American to hold that position. So, Steve, what are some of the
Indian person?
I don't know if she was the first Indian person. She was the first woman and the first African American. If she was the first Indian, I didn't catch that one for Attorney General. There might have been another Asian person that was Attorney General before her. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know. You might be right. So what are some of the issues Kamala focused on as the California AG, and how can she leverage that experience as the president, Steve?
She was holding corporations to the fire. Okay. Again, sex trafficking. I think that a lot of what she looked at was, again, trying to help people who couldn't help themselves. Okay. So that was what she looked at. Those were the things. I know that the sex trafficking, I know she did, again, she dealt with death penalty issues, because at first they didn't have the death penalty, then they did have the death penalty, and they, there's some things that she was working out with that. But I think mostly what it was again, trying to balance everything to where everything was fair for all citizens of California. Right. Because one of the things that she was looking at is we're not red or blue,
Yep.
And there are rural areas in California. So one of the things she was trying to do was, in the laws, how the laws were implemented, because a law is a law, but attorney general, governors, they decide how these laws are going to be implemented, who we're going to go after, the punishment, that type of thing. And I think that she was trying very hard to make sure that the constituents of California, that their voice was heard.
Yeah.
Okay. And as a president, if you want your voice to be heard, you do want somebody who's going to listen to you in a fair and balanced manner.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And she got dinged for that, because people who saw her record as district attorney in San Francisco thought, well, she's not as liberal as she was, and that's not fair. But the thing about it is, that's a state. The state of San Francisco is bigger than most countries.
Yeah.
Population wise.
City.
Yes.
Or you talking about the state of
not
California?
San Francisco, the state of California. I'm sorry,
Okay.
the state of California is bigger than most countries. Okay. So, she had to look at it differently, and the fact that she could go through and deal with things in a way that gave everybody an equal voice does show that she would be good for America, because she can look at things and speak for people of all economic situations, race, color, political views, and that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Steve killing me with that hezzy. You know what I'm saying? He'll be talking, and I'll be like about to jump in, and boom, he hit me right there. The hezzy's killing me. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Yeah, here's the thing, man. She was the first African American woman attorney general in California. And it's funny we're talking DEI, because I think what people who go against it don't realize, we still have to say the first on a lot of shit in this 2024. Like, we still saying the first this and the first that. Like, the country's damn near 300 years old. We talk about the first still and the first this and that. And you talking about we don't need DEI? Okay, but nonetheless, she's one person that's definitely qualified for what she's doing. And the Attorney General just proves it. One, she's an elected official in probably one of the biggest states. Definitely one of the biggest states in the country. She had to get elected to be a district attorney also, but being Attorney General, she had to run a campaign and do that and get a lot of people to vote for her. She probably had to, work across lines to do that. She just couldn't roll there and completely be liberal. She has to get everybody in that state to kind of agree with her and want her to be there. Again, it's an executive position. Attorney General, not only do they run an office with multiple people, but she has to administer the whole state when she's talking about law now. Can't be no slouch to do that. You know what I'm saying? So where these people come up with this crazy narrative that she's only being hired because of her race. That's what DEI means when they say that. Saying because she's black and she's a woman, that's the reason she's where she is. They're just scared to say it. They're full of shit. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Easy way to say it.
And they really full of shit because we got a fourth fact to
Yes.
prove that they full of shit. And that fourth fact is that even after being a district attorney, after being the attorney general of the state, she became a state senator. Now, if you gotta be she got DE
Not
at
even a
each
state-
turn,
oh,
she
a
got
state senator,
she was a
state
DEI
senator.
hire for like every position she ever got. Because basically you saying DEI got her where she is, so she had to get a DEI hire as district attorney, as attorney general, and then as a U.S. senator, right? So Kamala Harris was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2016, representing California. Once again, the voters in her state said, we like her. She's got the credentials.
She's U.S. senator,
You
right?
win. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
said.
okay.
U.S. senator. The state of California voted her the U.S. senator.
Okay, yeah.
You don't get voted by nobody else. I wish I could vote for other state senators. Shit, other U.S.
Mm-hmm.
senators from other states. But anyway, she became the U.S. senator of the state of California. So her work in the Senate included advocating for healthcare reform, immigration rights, criminal justice reform, and more. So Ace, how will Kamala's time as a U.S. senator prepare her for the presidency?
This falls back into the categories is you got somebody that now is in Washington, knows the workings of Congress, knows how that relationship works with the presidency, understands how that checks and balances works. She just knows what she's doing. She's familiar with that. You know, I like how these people kind of say, well, we need an outsider in this. You don't need an outsider on nothing. If I pull up to the auto, you know, to the the mechanic shop, and they say, well, you don't want no mechanics in here. You want somebody on the outside that never worked on cars before. I'm going to be like, no, I don't. I want the dude that knows what's going on with cars to fix my car. So why would we think we want the same thing in Washington? You know, and I know you talk about corruption and this and that, and a lot of like, okay, yeah, you know, everybody's got that. But I want somebody who's qualified that at least knows what the hell they're doing. And her having the natural progression of, you know, city politics, state politics, national politics, you know, and getting that education along the way tells me, okay, she probably knows what she's doing when it comes to politics and governing. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, hands down, Trump can't govern. I've been telling people that. That's the problem. What we're asking him to do, he don't know how to do.
No.
He's never governed anything before. This proves that she knows how to govern. And not only in one facet of it, an executive facet, but now we have proof that she also understands how the legislation works. Hey, you know what? Maybe Biden got a lot of things passed because he was a senator once and he knows how to go talk to the Congress and get things done. Maybe that's why he's got an infrastructure bill and all kinds of things to go through and got both parties to play on both sides. You know what I'm saying? And pass it. No, so I mean that's just basically what her experience of being a U.S. senator, how that makes her just a better candidate to be president.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody who's ever seen her in a Senate committee meeting will know that she was not a DEI. Well, you can't. Okay, let's start with this. If you were elected, you cannot be a DEI hire because you were elected.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's start there. So that's
That's what I keep saying. Elected.
yeah.
Elected.
You were elected. You're an elected official. So the DEI hire is some bullshit. Okay, but if you ever looked at her in a committee meeting, okay, she dismantled people.
Yeah,
man.
she didn't play.
She did not like.
I think Jasmine Crockett was some shit.
Oh yeah, but she was Jasmine Crockett before Jasmine Crockett. You know,
yeah.
so yeah, you can't come into the Senate and make that kind of noise and not be competent.
Yep.
And let's be real, the rules aren't fair. You know, so if you are black and a woman, you got to be extra articulate.
Yeah.
You know, you got to learn you have to be able to go at them, you know, all in and have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Yep.
And she did that.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
And
man.
let me ask y'all something real quick. Like, where all these damn DEI jobs at and black jobs at? And why ain't nobody tell me about this shit?
I know, man. I want to be look, I want
Like,
to be CEO of Chase
did
or
not
something.
know they was promoting
Hey,
us and
yeah.
hiring us because we was black.
Exactly.
I know.
No credentials.
Yeah.
No
this-
experience.
this
You
need-
just
this
you
need
black.
a black guy. You know
Come
what I'm
on
saying?
in.
What's this black guy job at that I can
Yeah.
move up to and I ain't got to have no
Yeah.
experience in and I can work
Yes.
there?
Yeah. I ain't never seen that shit
I've never
online. I ain't never seen
that.
no quality. No.
Indeed ain't hit me up with that.
Yeah.
LinkedIn ain't popped up on my
Monster.com.
shit.
Nope.
He's a monster. That's old school right there. The yellow pages, the ads.
White
Where the
pages,
hell
nigga.
are these
Classifieds.
DEI jobs? These white people
Yeah.
keep telling me about DEI Hire.
Hey.
Did not know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Well, now they're trying to say that becoming the president is a damn DEI
Hire.
thing. And guess what? Fact number 5 proves that she's not, because there have been a bunch of vice presidents who became president. And guess what? She was elected and chosen, vetted to be and nominated by Biden to be his running mate, the vice president. Went through a whole vetting process against a whole lot of other people. And in 2021, they won, and she was sworn in as the 49th vice president of the United States. I got 49th on here. But she was voted in. She was sworn in as the vice president of the United States, put it that way. So this made history as the first woman and the first black and the first South Asian to be vice president. Now, Steve, how would her time as VP help her in the role of the president?
Okay. She visited over 20 countries in her role as vice president. She met with over 150 leaders of countries, okay? Presidents, prime ministers of countries, okay? So she already understands how that works.
Yeah,
She
diplomacy.
she understands how diplomacy works. She understands how to deal with different cultures. Okay. She does understand, again, how to govern. She, people talk about President Biden. President Biden was probably the perfect mentor because he is older. He can't say, hey, look, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go to this country and talk to whoever. And that's what he was doing. If he didn't want to go somewhere, he would send her. He would tell her, look, this is what you need to talk to him about. And she would go do it. And apparently she was good at it because other foreign leaders have glowing things to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, now we moved from, district attorney to attorney general to not state senator, U.S. senator. Now we hit vice presidency. I mean, that's just a path of projection. I mean, if we're looking at a financial chart in a company, that chart's going like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know any companies that turn down businesses going like this. Why wouldn't you want this person to be in the position that they're in? I mean, she, we can tap on all the experience she's got, but we've just proven how successfully she's been and how good she is at what she does. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? There's no question about that. I think vice presidency right now, it just put her in close proximity that what's going on with the world now and what the problems are in real time.
Yes.
She's been in the room. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So instead of people talking about what they're going to do and this and that, this person's actually there doing it right now. I was looking at this week when they released the hostages, got Wheeling and all of them over, and they pulled her up and they talked to her, and she was talking about how they have allies built, like you said, and they had to do a lot of behind the scenes work with allies to get people to convince them to let this hostage go so we can get people together so we can put this hostage deal together. You can't do that on no bullshit. You got to be standing on business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you can't get things done. Then I remember Trump had said, yeah, I'd do something or whatever. I would have got him out when I got in office. And then they shot back and said, one of these are from when you were in office.
Yeah,
And
2018.
You didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because you couldn't stand on business. You didn't have the relationships. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. So it's funny when she sat there and she was talking. I said, yeah, she looks presidential.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like she knows what she's doing. And I think that's what the vice presidency allowed her to do and is allowing her to do right now for us to see what a real president looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. And I think that she looks at the long game and not the short game, because at the beginning of the presidency, they criticized the Biden administration because of immigration. And they were like, well, she didn't go to the border. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. What she did do is she did this. She looked at every country where you had a lot of illegal immigration going on. She went to each one of those countries and researched to see why people were leaving those countries to come to America. And then she went to Biden and said, okay, this is what you need to do in this country to make it so people don't feel like they need to leave that country.
Yeah.
Okay. And what you're seeing now is, yes, you need border security, but what she was trying to do is she was trying to go to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a different mindset than attacking a knee-jerk reaction to something that's already happening anyway.
Yeah,
She was trying to stop it from happening before it happened, which is a much more logical and less expensive and better tactic for everyone. Because if you're leaving a country coming all the way to the U.S., well, that means you got to travel through different countries. Those people, a lot of them die, okay, before they even get to America. So the way that she was handling it was in a way that was trying to make it safer for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And the immigration thing, like they said, they always want to ride on that. I mean, yeah, well, she didn't do nothing about immigration. I mean, nobody's done nothing about immigration.
But Biden has deported and caught more people who are criminals than Trump.
Yeah. And when but when I say nobody's did about immigration is one of those things that are always on the table every election. That the opposing people are going to talk about the other person that hasn't been doing it. It's just been something that's there because it's something that we know and everybody's known it's not going to get solved overnight. And by the time the new person gets in, they put their new policies in and we're right back at square one. So that's what I mean by that. So it's kind of hard. I always thought about this when they even told they said they're going to give her immigration. I was like, wow. You know, did she pick a straw for that shit? Like, out of everything she's going to do.
That's the worst thing to get.
They gave her immigration, you know what I'm saying? Because it's always just something that the opposing party can always attack you on. I don't care where you're at. They can always say, all right, well, look at your immigration bill, you know what I'm saying? Because people are always, and it's funny, because we're a country of immigrants. We're always going to have immigrants coming here. That's how we got built. So it's just funny that they try to hold that against her when, you know, nobody's got that right, so.